This is my job.
This is my job. This is what I do for a living.
This is my life.
Yeah.
We got the battleground for game number 2 here, ladies and gentlemen. Figuring out, will we stick to the small battlegrounds? And we will. HeroesHearth picking out their second favorite or their #1 favorite. If you go based off of pick order, they have in the past shown Dragonshire over Tomb. Either way, they're 1-2 maps here, Tomb and Dragonshire. We're still sticking to it. Likely going to be similar results over the last game here.
I mean, this is the battleground where HeroesHearth walked in. This was the one they took down Tempo on.
Yep, only team to take Tempo.
And so they just walked right in. They're like, oh, you're the best on this? No. We're the best on this. So definitely a lot to play around. You know, this is the map where we do still see a lot of Tahaka play in particular.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that can come in here. It's an old Swabs hero. We'll see if Hal goes on that or whether he just feels comfortable in New York. Look, it's the most forgiving. Look, if I die, I'm sorry, guys. Don't worry, I'm back sooner than every other hero, unless he goes Murky. But, you know, this is one of the ones where I think you can get good Blaze practice, good Tahaka practice, continue to work on rotations. When you think about HeroesHearth, you think about Dragonshire, the very small battlegrounds, and it is heavy on the rotations, and it's very unassuming. At the top level, it's always a matter of, like, controlling those, the way that Tempo does on this battleground, the way that HeroesHearth has been able to. And this is, like, one of the ones where you think of macro, right? You think of Sky Temple, you think of Cursed Hollow, controlling globals, the very standard cookie-cutter stuff. But when it comes to the real macro games, Tomb and Dragon are probably the most complex. It seems simple in nature, but there's a lot more of the complexities that go into it.
It's one of those things that the word macro encases too much, right? Because you are very correct in like the breaking down of it all. And it's just the word macro is, it has, you know, rotations, it's got wave clear capabilities, it's how much you can get in the advantages in those type of situations when you have those over your opponents. All of those kind of encase the word of macro, but I agree with you that, you know, if there are the maps that are more intensive than all the rest of them, even though rotationally speaking, the time in transition is the smallest between Dragon and Tomb, they're still the go-to macro maps. The decision-making made from beginning to end, especially on Dragonshire, specifically on an individual level, how good your decision-making has to be, is always why I adore the battleground. Banzo.
Yeah, we saw LFM play around the Medivh last time. They banned the Hanzo, and then they ended up picking the Medivh for themselves. The Medivh, respectable play there. But curious if they'll be willing to let one or the other through or want to play around one or the other, because it's unlikely they're going to get the Maya.
Going to ban out the Medivh. And as you said, LFM, or HeroesHearth Esports, excuse me, likely to ban out this Maiev. So what do we see in the first pick there for LFM? It's been pretty apparent Figgy's moved over to the Johanna more as a response into Garrosh than the Tyrael as halfway through part number 2. I would like to see, if that is the case and they're afraid of the Garrosh, which you can assume to be in the 1-2 of HeroesHearth Esports, end up picking it in this type of rotation right now. Be willing to deny it, willing to take it off the table. Mainly just because I do not want to see, you know, Figgy on that Johanna just wave clearing into the lethality compositions that HeroesHearth is so good at.
I'm trying to remember, because I mean, obviously LFM picked up a win a few weeks ago, but it's definitely been a thing for them where at one point there was something like 0-10 or 0-11 on Johanna. I need to double check that, but it hasn't looked good historically. So again, I think that the playstyle that they go with, you know, it comes a lot around traded. We haven't been able to call his name as much, but the Genji, if they want to go the Genji. The Greymane obviously has fallen off a lot here, you know, with some of the changes. The Phoenix coming in, which didn't show up in the draft at all last game. We're going to see a Malfurion, which kind of opens the door for maybe we get a Tracer.
I don't mind the Malfurion. I think it's going to, again, it's going to raise that if we get the Garrosh here, what is going to be the answer for LFM. But I like the fact that they're still targeting, you know, some of the higher priorities on the side of LFM here. Wouldn't mind. An interesting question here actually is going to be, will HeroesHearth, because Tempo Storm is very apparent after the draft we got yesterday from them, is that Hanzo has been before the second ban phase in every single draft. HeroesHearth, we know, not too shabby with the Hanzo. Is this a situation where we're willing to see them commit to a Hanzo higher than, you know, some of the other teams, go back to it? Because it is one of the battlegrounds that, rotationally speaking, his control is hard to deal with.
I feel like HeroesHearth is making a point to be like, look, we don't need Hanzo. But I also feel it's like, oh, we don't actually play Hanzo. And then the playoffs show up, it's like, actually, we play Hanzo.
We play quite a bit, yeah. I feel like that is a little bit of the case as well. Garrosh Jaina going to avoid the Hanzo instead, still sticking with that lethality with that Jaina. And this is exactly what I was talking about. So now it's like, okay, we have kill potential with the Jaina, we've got the Garrosh, who's our frontliner going to be? The answer has been that Johanna, and that's what I wanted. That's why I wanted the Garrosh first pick on the side of LFM, because the only other hero that you can put in this position, debatably, there's two, other than the Johanna with the Diablo, is iffy, and then you have the opportunity to move into the Tyrael. Tyrael is the one that we saw him go to for the most part at the beginning half of the year. That is, again, as I've said, not in the go-to answer. Now that you have a Genji, I feel like you have to be willing to pick it. You don't have to here. Just please don't be a Johanna.
I couldn't agree with you more right now.
Please don't be a Johanna.
At this point, I'd even be willing to concede I'll take a Muradin.
I'm in the same boat. Just anybody who is not a passive wave clear and can synergize with the Genji kill potential in the 4-man, but has a gap closer to get away from Garrosh whenever he's going to body, which is a lot, because Garrosh is Garrosh.
Anubarak does have some interesting choices.
I'd even take the Anub.
Does well against spell armor.
Just stop talking. I don't want to hear any of the other positives
after
this. Nope.
Hold on, I hear something. Confirmed the breaking of Dread's heart.
Yep. you had to listen in so intently, because it's in fact so baby, so small.
It was crumbling.
It was just withering away.
You know, let's give credit, right? Johanna on this battleground, I believe this is her second highest win rate battleground. Looking at some notes here. She doesn't perform poorly, right? But you're looking at synergy. Where do you get the synergy with the Genji? And we know Draded loves to play that. I think they're going to require a lot more. There's a potential they might try and go down that Li Ming path that we've seen them before. You know, we see them kind of go down the mage now. We've got a Diva being hovered. Now Dahaka. Dahaka's close to Diva, so maybe a misclick. But if you can get that Bless Shield, you can get the engagement, you get the Condemn, maybe there's the opportunity for that. So we're trying to look at the bright side. Obviously, Johanna, you know, for LFM has not looked good all year. It's just a comfort pick of something. It's like, look, you can't ever look great, but you don't ever look terrible on it.
I think the best way to put it is Johanna is questionable in terms of when and where, as it currently stands. Her relevance has been purely as a response to the problem that is Garrosh. Let's be real here, right? Like when it comes to relevance of her as a hero. So this is taking our skepticism towards the time and the place of the hero and then catering towards the specific case example of these two teams in this type of situation on top of that, right? So a lot of what you're hearing is objectively Johanna is questionable to begin with, but then also in this type of situation, it just hasn't been holding its own. So mix something up somewhere, and it feels like that would have to be the place there. But without it, we'll see if there's a way to make it kind of make up for it. I mean, you can, in theory, like Tyrael offlane to get somebody to dive with the Genji, but let's be honest here. Most offlanes body Tyrael in standard meta.
Yeah. You know, I'm wondering, because we saw the Thrall on this before. Okay, they end up going Blaze. So we're going to see the Phoenix come out here. So Blaze, Phoenix, you have your solid frontliner, you have solid solo laner, you have kill potential, and you have sustain. Everything for Heroes Hearth is hitting the check mark of everything. You have wave clear, you have kill potential, and even if Jaina, she doesn't necessarily need to prioritize that Blizzard now Dreadnought towards the wave, because the amount of wave clear that Phoenix gets, hitting those big ol' AoE autos, pretty significant. And you can always rotate one of those up. You can rotate them over to get the camp. You can rotate one of them up to mid lane. And so you never fully lose out on the rotations if you're Heroes Hearth, unless you get picked.
Hanzo Malthael, man, this composition has gotten a little bit wild for LFM. Malthael's a hero that we got to see out at Tempo Storm yesterday. Hasn't really showed himself almost at all through part number 2. It's going to be pretty good into the Garrosh. Has a winning matchup in the Blaze. I will say this is one of the few times that we do see that Malthael popped out, and you're like, okay, it makes a lot of sense. It's picked in the area you would expect within the draft. It's just, I mean, let's be real here. This is LFM playing with a sub. That's going to be How on the offlane. Like, I don't know his individual play level on Malthael, but I'm just going to say that it's probably still going to be a hard time here against Heroes Hearth.
The matchup, we'll see how it plays out. Yep, that's a hero.
Okay, then. Here we go.
Well, I actually heard another sound that is June now calling up every member of Tempo and be like, why not me? Why not me?
Anna. Sorry, almost.
You know, when you're from the Midwest, like Kentucky where I am, it is Anna, whether it's one N or two. I'm sorry. It's just the way we talk. Just like Heroes Hearth is a real word. You listen to, like, McIntyre, he even calls his own team Heroes Hearth, but for the English people, it's Heroes Hearth and Anna.
You know, I have the same struggle. You know, I stick to that. I can't even say Medivh and Maiev proper. I just hybrid those names left and right, so I can't judge. But
Medaio.
I have that I have that problem with the Anna versus Anna as well. Not so much that I have qualms with it individually, but my natural instinct is go, oh yeah, no, it's just Ana.
Down south in Kentucky.
Let's be real here, though. A solo support Ana, as it currently stands, is...
Especially against a Genji.
I mean, sleep darts are good with the kill potential in the 4-man. Have you ever tried to survive against a Garrosh Ana?
It's pretty tough.
It's literally, oh wait, I'm
like
sleep
you
darted
literally
from
get
fog.
sleep dart and you just hang out there for a bit, and Garrosh is like, I'm on my way. Oh, okay, you're still there. I'm still coming.
Yep, it's still going to happen.
There's literally nothing you can do. You feel so helpless at that point.
No, it's not a good time. So we'll see here, though, how HeroesHearth is going to make this Ana, in fact, work.
You know, every time you kind of get, we've seen Team 12 try and run the Ana, but it was a very weird composition on Volskaya. This one does make more sense. You can nano boost. Think about nano boosting. I mean, obviously, Jaina is the #1, especially when you look at the Icy Veins at 13. But even Phoenix going in with that laser, I mean, that could be pretty scary. And then think about post-level 16. If you go that battle momentum, you're nano boosted, you have cooldown reduction, you have extra spell power, and you have cooldown reduction on your abilities. There's some fun plays to be made.
There's a lot of plays to be made. You know, Ana and how she impacts the game itself is definitely more, you know, creative than a standard support in the impact that it kind of has, especially when you have that synergy, as we talk about with the Jaina on your squad. It's just whether or not she can heal everybody, keep them up. As it's not only a very, very micro-intensive support, probably the most micro-intensive support, but also just compositionally to make her work. Even in a, you know, if you were to put a bot on that hero and miss or hit every single heal, she still misses some of the check marks necessary for relevant supports within this kind of meta.
Well, the other thing is she kind of falls into the same realm of Stukov. She's very susceptible to flanks and dives. You know, obviously Stukov has a little bit better self-heal if that bio kill switch is available. But Ana does lack that significant amount of self-healing. That's one of the reasons why I don't see her. Single target, hard to keep up with everybody, as well as not being able to self-heal as effectively. So that's why we don't see a lot of Ana.
And she doesn't even get a standard healing operations, right? She can't even point and click and drop a heal like Uther can. If there's somebody else in the way, it's even worse than that. It is a, oh, my Diablo's in front of me. That means any other model on the other side of my team.
Phoenix is a big body too.
I'm never going to get a heal off because you're just eating all of my darts ever, even though I'm throwing my skill shots perfectly.
Arthalon, he has those shields. There comes Crowan. All of a sudden, Figgy's in trouble, but so is Ishbu. We're going to have a trade out on the tanks. Oh, there's that sleep dart setup. Just missed.
Almost had an opportunity there. Trade 1-for-1 over the mid lane. Nobody going to pull too far ahead. Malthael dominating over the top half of the map for the most part so far, even getting that pressure out towards McIntyre. It's got to be a great sign of life here for LFM because really if you can only rely on having one thing going in your favor on a map like Dragonshire, at least knowing that your top lane's winning is a really nice kind of opportunity to adjust things, hit the pause button, and go, how can we really mix this up so that we can find a way to recover in this game?
Hanzo going into that bonus attack damage on Scatter Arrow at level 4. Maybe make a play towards some of these camps as the game goes on, but they're making a play towards Crowan right now as Draded putting the damage onto that Jaina. We're going to see right now both of the shrines are controlled. As you said, the fact that that top lane, I mean, you can just look at the mini-map. Malthael is so far pushed out, there's no threat. The only real threat is going to be here mid. Arthalon's in trouble.
Yeah, and double shrine control from the members of LFM already on top of this. This is a ridiculous amount of domination that they've been able to have over the laning situation so far. Still going to hold this kind of 1-2-2 approach that HeroesHearth has been sticking to through a majority of their Dragonshire Blade. Dre, question if he wants to go in for the kill. Crowan has very little mana, only enough for about 1 to 2 spells, if any. There's the Cone of Cold, enough to at least keep him alive.
As long as you hit your skill shots, BBJ, those moments that look so dire right there, you can survive, but it's when multiple people start taking the damages.
It looks a little less impressive.
Yeah, just a bit. Arthalon trying to take control of this. Figgy holding on to point, seeing if his team can get the DK in. It looks like they are going to successfully be able to do so. That's going to be LFM getting the first DK. Johanna, you can see her health bar just manages to get behind the wall. And look, I'm not even going to say this is an Ana problem. I'm going to say compositionally, HeroesHearth not looking so great, but LFM is looking very strong in the early game.
You won't say it's an Ana problem. I'm going to call it an Ana problem. I don't think it's so much an Ana problem. I feel like no matter what, LFM could find ways to pull ahead so far. The laning decision-making from HeroesHearth Esports has been pretty interesting to go with this 1-2-2, though their 2-2s haven't been winning in either front. In the 1-versus-1, we've seen what's been happening there. And the fact that they aren't willing to commit with a standard 1-4, even though they definitely cater towards looking like they have the kill potential to do so, I don't know why they're making that kind of decision-making, but it is put them in a position to where LFM is winning on, as we said, the 1-4. They're winning on top. They're winning within the 2-2 matching of the 4-man and the bottom half of the map. And at this point now, cycling the pressure towards the top half of the Dragonite is only going to make this laning mismatch that much more favorable for LFM. LFM setting themselves up to take a Dragonshire game against HeroesHearth Esports. That just seems insane to think about.
I think, you know, we don't want to get too far into it, Dreadnought. If LFM pulls off the upset, there is a factor in terms of that plus-minus that has to be considered. Look, it's far down the road. We'll see how the series plays out. Still early in the game, 5 minutes in. But as you said, that top lane pressure, they're going to use that night camp to kind of ease up some of that pressure. But as something that you note quite a bit that I think right now HeroesHearth has to consider, they have enough wave clear between the Phoenix and the Jaina that I feel like they need to cycle somebody up there, get some type of threat, because Malthael is literally just pushing that lane out, and he never has to back away.
I think that's one of the biggest problems, though, is that HeroesHearth isn't willing to do that exact same thought process, even within their 4-man. This is the first time we've seen all 4 people of the 4-man on HeroesHearth be on the same screen in the, it feels like the entirety of this game. They have constantly had this cycle of Crowin plus Ana as the 2-versus-2 on the bottom half. They have the Garrosh Phoenix kind of hold their own, and then just fall behind, be reactive within the rotation so far on the side of LFM, and until they mix that up, to be honest with you, I mean, I agree with you. Somewhere they need to make that kind of rotation, but at this point in time, just any mix-up from what they've had unfold so far is necessary. Otherwise, LFM is just going to keep controlling the lanes, which, ladies and gentlemen, that is the name of the game in a map like Dragonshire.
You know, one thing that I am very happy to see on the side of LFM, Dreadnought, is during the victory that they had in that series victory, it was T moving over. We've seen so much Leeming and so much tank, so we're like, dude, what else you got, right? He played a game of Hanzo. It looked good. He's playing a game of Hanzo here. He's surprisingly just coming out and it's like, where's this been? Because it's been Draded most of the time on the Hanzo. Now they're switching things up. I think for the future of LFM, they got to get through the Crucible, obviously, but this is a very bright spot for them, I think, if they can keep up this type of pace with T on this other hero of Hanzo and maybe flexing around that and taking advantage of it.
One thing we also have to keep in mind is that Figgy took a note out of Team 12 here, going with the Falling Sword on Johanna instead of that Blessed Shield. It's going to make it very all-in focus and diving, as you said, onto that Ana, who has no capabilities to heal herself. There's the last rites. Ishbu is able to get into the bunker. Going to get a nice little cleanse there of that. Nice kill on the bottom half of the map. HeroesHearth holding their own on the top half. Ishbu not able to make it out, but will McIntyre.
Draded so good on this Genji. That was a full team effort, though, is how when we came back to that, I was like, what is that? It was Arthlon with the laser still going out getting the boot. Either way, the DK was picked up that entire time, so good plays, the back and forth trade. Obviously, Johanna falling, but Johanna obviously contributing towards that capture to make sure that you could get that, so staying around a little bit longer. Very nicely done by LFM. Starting to open up this map quite a bit. Structure starting to fall. Minions here are going to take some damage. 34% still left on the DK, but quickly approaching 13, and mid fort almost down. Bottom fort wall should fall.
Middle fort is going to die no matter what, and that's going to be easy control. The front wall on bottom has been taken care of. The pressure for the top wall has already been taken care of as well. Eventually, Malthael will be able to kind of eke away with that with the night camp. So bottom is the biggest focus over this mid game for LFM. Again, because you can bank on that middle one dropping no matter what. The biggest thing now should be, ideally, you wouldn't want to double camp into ensuring the pressure with the 13 talents here on that bottom fort. There's only one camp available, though. No giants up. So we see LFM, they're going to make the rotation to the camp. It's just very important that they actually sit together and force on this. Notice how Malthael is making the transition towards mid. It's actually really big. If he shows himself on mid and then they all cycle towards bottom to be able to take this fort, that would be a huge, huge play on the side of LFM. Yeah, it does sack a little of that pressure on the top half of the map, but it's a way to open up and further these advantages that they have with the 13s. And on Dragonshire, that's, I personally feel like one of the most underestimated advantages is how insanely difficult this map gets whenever you're able to take forts and top and bottom half the map.
Well, you mentioned the double, and the siege camp ended up spawning around the at the tail end of that night camp being picked up. And it's one of the things that we see teams like Tempo Storm do quite often, is to play around that double. And I feel like if LFM had recognized that, Blaze was still top. Rotate that fifth man down like Malthael, get the siege camp already with the Hanzo, which is extremely quick, then cycle down to the Knights. And that way you have that Malthael already down there. You have a 5 versus 4 plus 13 to your advantage. The idea of getting that double camp would have been a little bit better had they cycled those a little bit differently.
Either way, LFM will be able to get the giant camp and cycle a bit of their pressure towards the middle lane. Nice flip over. Sleep Dart's going to connect. Nobody's going to break it, but nothing gained either here for HeroesHearth Esports. 25 seconds out from the Dragonite phase. And right now, as it stands, because the control on the bottom half and Malthael is on the top, this is still LFM, you know, kind of their Dragonite to have here until HeroesHearth says otherwise. I'm
just wondering and waiting when we get that big dive. Malthael can go in. Genji, you get the Falling Sword into a Dragon Arrow, potentially full stun, and Johanna, once he's on top of that Ana, you know, Bunker's going to have to be there. If they see Blaze in another lane and they can find that fight, there's really no saving outside of maybe a taunt. There's going to be a little bit of return damage, obviously, between Jaina and Phoenix, but the setup potential is there.
Figgy needs to be very careful, though.
You can Falling Sword out, no big deal.
Yeah, but still, even the Falling Sword, if you had to burn that cooldown in that type of situation, would not be good. Top was taking control of. The Knights still pushing in favor of LFM. How able to pick up that for the team. They have a still huge advantage. LFM has everything going for them right now. They have a winning 1 versus 1 on the top half of the map. They're doing a well with the 1 versus 1 in the middle half. Bottom doesn't matter because top is winning so hard. Eventually he's going to be able to drop the fort, and they're furthering the race to 16. The only thing that you really want to avoid is making sure Phoenix does not get the gank on Malthael, which how perfect map awareness immediately gets the back out. And now Genji gets the cycle pressure elsewhere. Instead of catering to a losing situation on the top half, ganking towards the bottom, I would have liked to see a bit more pressure out of Draded, but from beginning to end, LFM is playing this. I mean, it's textbook Dragonshire.
Looking good at moments. This is the LFM that we know. You know, they've always found ways to hang tough against certain teams. Even when they're down, they were never out. Even when they're down in a series, they find a way to pick up a win or two. It just hasn't amounted to a lot of series victories. They have a lot of potential, and it's a word that I know you're always wondering about, but LFM, if they can continue to capitalize on these things and grow as a team here in the HGC, obviously the future is very bright. The talent is there. Individual talent is there. But coming up with strategies like this, looking good.
Well, it was dropped. Both shrines controlled for LFM as the Falling Sword comes down. They already got enough damage on the Gyarados to get the first kill. Tranquility came out from Aware, but it was too little too late to save Figgy there.
Malthael.
Draded's going to go in. Malthael ends up picking the Dragonite up, and no kills being achieved outside of the 1 versus 1 trade. That's a huge win for LFM.
So right now, the DK, that middle fort has gone down. Looks like the attention is rotating top, and the pathing of it is going to give up a little bit of free damage here. There we go. Give them the boot. Send the rest of the team down to the bot lane. I think this is a chance to play double fort.
And this is a really big Dragonite phase for LFM because without the full 5-on-5, they can't really get the value out of the siege capabilities that a 12-minute Dragonite normally would be able to. But when we think about the fact that they're not only splitting the pressure on the top half towards the bottom half here, is the Dragonite, if it's left alone and it ends up taking that top fort, that laning problem of the top half has been consistent for minute 1 in this game. You take away that fort, the vision and amount of map control that you give Malthael in this situation, especially with On a Pale Horse, would be devastating. The biggest thing for LFM is do not split your resources so much so that you don't get one or the other. You need top or you need bottom. The interrupt there after the flip, the taunt, forcing out the Dragon Arrow, Draded, able to switch strike out. But notice how they got only half the damage on bottom and top still didn't fall. We've seen this 2 Dragonite phases in a row. LFM bites off more than they can chew and end up gaining neither.
Yeah, you can see the thought process. It's just not paying off the way that they had anticipated. Now how?
He's got a last rights.
He's going to trade.
Got him.
Oh, the ice block, though. Crowan has finished his quest. He said, nada, not this go-round. Gets the takedown there. Heads up play by Crowan, making sure he stays alive. T trying to put some damage on as Ishbu walks away. So that's a big pickup. Save it. Yeah, they lost the mid fort, but that fort had probably like 2% health. But the fact that they held top and bottom did HeroesHearth, and LFM wasn't able to accomplish much, and you get a kill out of that Dragonite, that is a big turnaround here for HeroesHearth, who at this point, Dreadnought, has not had a lot of, you know, really shining moments.
No, they really haven't. There's a nice root there. Jet propulsion, flip over, groundbreaker to follow up. The taunt goes down, no iron skin opportunities there. Figgy just pretty much gets 100-0, near globaled over that initiation from HeroesHearth Esports. But no, you're very right. And I think the best way to kind of, you know, paint that is if we look at LFM and the control that they had every minute before that Dragonite phase, they were eking over, it was about, what, a level to a level and a half lead going into picking up that Dragonite. Once they got the Dragonite itself, they sieged away and lost nearly nobody. They did not trade negatively into HeroesHearth Esports. We end the Dragonite phase. What's the experience? Dead even. Structurally, nothing to claim for your own. Experience, nothing to claim for your own. And that Sleep Dart means that T... Wow, nice Planet Cracker. I was going to say he's not making it out of here, but a lot of major cooldowns being burnt on both ends, and he survives.
I'm just trying to figure out what other stun might have been there because Arthlon, his laser came out, and that whenever you're slapped, you have a half second before you can be woken up by any damage. And he got woke, and he pressed D about as fast as he could.
Ishbu. Gotta go, drops the taunt. Look at this flank from Draded, though. Is it going to be enough? Not with the last rights already being removed off the table there. How? Dropping very, very fast. But look at that damage onto BBJ. Ana already goes down. Crone gets into the bunker, but he's one shot. Now they're getting the turnaround here. Draded looking for reset number 3. Falling Sword's going to prep Ishbu. Does he go in? He needs the reset.
He's not going to get the reset, but he's going to get the kill. And now he's saving that Swift Strike going directly into Arthlon, but the fort is not down, so he can't dive any further. Getting the shield off of that, but Dreadnought, we're at a very similar position all of a sudden because we're looking at double shrines. Top lane has a tremendous amount of pressure. We're going to see a DK pushing. They're going to try and compound the issue just a little bit because at the bottom of the map, they're looking to get the Night Camp. Have that Night Camp, use that DK to go under. Draded, he's going to make his way up as fast as he can. This is another DK, but with that camp pushing, they need to clear out the Siege Giants.
All right, so now I want to ask you, how much siege damage exists in the hands of LFM right now? Once you put your Genji in there, you got Malthael, you got Hanzo.
Hit all the structures with Scatter Arrow.
Yeah,
you know how strong that is.
Scattering Arrow and the Malthael's passive. We'll just put it on every structure possible.
Yeah.
It just means that this Dragonite is single-handedly the sieging tool now for LFM. LFM did have a chance to buy a little bit of time and better prep this so they had better opportunities to choose who goes in and out of this Dragonite. But they have Volunteer here for Draded to move into it, and now it's going to make it a little bit more difficult to siege. And again, more kind of importance on the HP there of the Dragonite, falling down to 50% as it moves up to this keep. Easy work here for HeroesHearth Esports to hold off.
Yeah, the DK already sitting at 20%. It can poke a little bit, but it's all for naught unless they get some type of big kill. Although that was a huge scattering arrow that hit onto Arthlon. It took out pretty much the remaining parts of his shield. You can see they're looking for an opportunity, but level 20s here by HeroesHearth. It's hard to engage with an Ana there. You kind of just have to play more of a wall defensive structure. They still have to be careful.
Biggie moves up. He's got the minion wave with him now. Drade is going to go ahead and get the follow-up here. A lot of damage onto Krolin, forcing the Ice Block. Falling Sword is actually going to drop but not fall. Draded ends up getting the Swift Strike and the X-Blade reset there. Tonko's down onto Figgy, but he's going to be just fine. First member on HeroesHearth is down, and the last rights doesn't get the kill on the Mac. A big Planet Cracker there, but it's just, you know, more fireworks there than really anything. HeroesHearth Esports down a member will lose this bottom keep.
T has been making so many plays on this Hanzo, setting it up, but Figgy getting that huge condemn into the punish, and now they're making their way forward. The keep is likely to fall. HeroesHearth, they have to survive here. There's nothing else they can really do as it's gone down. You give up another member, you give up potentially game. But now, the control definitely in favor of LFM, and I just absolutely love what I'm seeing out of this composition from LFM.
No, they're just absolutely dominating. How much insane initiation they have just to be able to dive into the backline every single time. Either Ana or Jaina is just getting nearly one shot in these skirmishes. Sleep Dart's going to be thrown out onto Figgy, but the rest of LFM, too concerned with the Night Camp to really care. It's going to be a good deny there onto HeroesHearth. The most important point in this game left for LFM is enabling the next Dragonite phase to be near perfectly prepped, the map in their favor. They just did double denied Giants and Night Camp. Normally you'd be like, oh yeah, you have an advantage, you're in a situation where you can do that, get rid of this as fast as possible. What that did remove is any opportunity for HeroesHearth to have the map good for them. So that means now LFM, if you double up on your camps, time it proper with the next objective, and abuse your 20, which they are doing right now, you are going to be miles ahead of your opponent. Now the biggest other deficit is do not split 1-4. If you split 1-4, that one probability of getting picked insanely high. A 3-2 split, make sure you backdoor one of those two, and then fight over the objective you want, which is going to be in bottom roughly 45 seconds out.
Right now, HeroesHearth finds themselves on the wrong end of this match after showing a dominant game number one. This composition by LFM, Ishbu looking to find an initiation. You can see the warning pings coming out there.
They already messed up, though. They let HeroesHearth make a free transition towards mid. Hold up, though. Crowan maybe out way too far. That Icebox, a really bad position for him. He gets into the bunker. Falling Sword goes down. X-Strike's going to drop. Crowan gets the healing. The last right's not going to get the kill. Now the Indestructible there on to Figgy. The Planet Cracker comes through, and LFM lose 2 members immediately. But we see Mouthdale end up getting the buyback here. He will be looking to join in. Ice block there from Aware. He is out of here. HeroesHearth Esports holds on to this game.
Crowan is so lucky right there, Dreadnought. He was the first one pathing through. He was the primary target, just was able to get into the bunker, and the healing that came through to keep him, I thought he was a goner. But now we're looking at 2 members. There was 3 kills. Mouthdale, as you said, no one can stop death. He's back. You know, they're going to be up here. They need more kills, and then they might find it here. How goes down instantly. No one can stop death. Oh, by the way, you're going to be a long time for your back now.
And that's now another staggered death on the side of LFM. They have pressure onto the map on top and bottom, but it's near negligible at this point in time because HeroesHearth Esports likely can take the game with this Dragonite. Who do they want to put into the Dragonite? Phoenix, probably second best damage on core. Ana, you need for the heals. Blaze, pretty good with the bunker. To be honest, it might be a game where you put Jaina. But Jaina getting caught, or excuse me, not Jaina, but in fact, Drayta getting caught out on top.
Oh my goodness.
He's able to survive.
He is beyond lucky there. Now they got to clear up these minions. It looks like Crowan going to be the person to man the DK. Actually, they're going to put
I like that
in
call. I like that call a lot. I didn't know if they'd be willing to risk not putting your front line because most people are afraid if we don't have a front line, we can't make anything happen. But actually, at this point in time, when you really look at the comp, the only person you don't need in that, because you need that bunker for the disengage, as long as you have the bunker, Garrosh is by far the worst damage on core.
This is very familiar to the situation that HeroesHearth was in before, where they had already been down a keep, understood that their win condition is not take down keep figured out. It is take down keep and look for the core right now. HeroesHearth, they're going to melt this keep here, and now they're going to turn their attention directly towards the core as Garrosh in that DK going forward, looking for a pick. Crowan, however, got to be careful as he's under assault, Dread.
Yeah, he's using all of his damage immediately onto the core. Dragonite getting the damage out, and once the bunker gets rid of it, it doesn't really matter at this point in time because, as you've said, the Dragonite unscathed there. HeroesHearth Esports claw their way back on Dragonshire, take themselves game 2, in it winning, you know, a nice stat bump there for the old Ana.
When it was sorely needed. Ana checked in. I will say, Ana still not entirely sold on it, but the time that Ana was needed the most to save Crowan in that top, it came through. I kept watching that health bar, and then you see the last rights, and then the health bar kept jumping higher and higher, and last rights couldn't confirm the kill. But the fact that Crowan passed through there initially, pretty risky.
To be honest with you, it was obviously insanely risky to make that rotation now. I